Coming up on Mountain News this morning, officials suspect arson might be at play after multiple fires hit Estill County. And Louisville continues to recover from this week's factory explosion as folks in the area ask why it happened.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. My name is Amelia Lee. The time now is 6:30 on this rainy Thursday morning. It is November 14th. It's also time to check in with meteorologist Megan Dusmal for a look at our forecast this morning. And Megan, we talked so much about this rain, about umbrellas. I don't even know if I own. Oh, can you hear it?
I can hear it. Yeah, it's starting to pick up here.
You can hear it right outside the building. But what should folks look out for this morning as they head out the door on their way to work?
Well, other than the rain, you should look forward to cooler temperatures as you're going through the next couple hours. It's a little bit warmer this morning than it was yesterday, but we're still seeing those cooler temperatures, and we will only be warming up to about the upper 50s compared to yesterday's upper 60s, and we'll stay cool after today for at least a couple of days before warming up again. But take advantage of the cooler weather while it's here, or more seasonal temperatures. But here is the satellite and radar as it's moving through our area. You can see a lot of the area will be getting that rain today. And as we continue to look at the more heavier places towards York, that's where you're going to be seeing a lot of the rain. But let's take a look as we go through the next couple hours. We'll have that seemingly break around that 10 a.m. hour. Then we have another little bit of rain around that afternoon hour, pushing through, leaving the rest of Thursday dry, but a little bit of sprinkles going through your Friday morning. But the next 12 hours, we'll be warming up very slowly to our high temperatures. Not that much of a difference from right now until that 1 p.m. hour. So a lot cooler of a day to look forward to. Amelia?
All right, Megan, thank you. A Clay County woman has been indicted for murder in the death of her 3-year-old daughter. A grand jury returned an indictment of 1 count of murder against Brianna Burkhart. Through their investigation, state police identified Burkhart as a suspect in the child abuse case. The child died at UK Children's Hospital following injuries that she sustained. Burkhart was previously indicted on 3 counts of assault back in June. First responders are still trying to figure out a string of fires in Estill County. Crews were battling a fire at a vacant mobile home on Winston Road on Sunday when they got a call about another fire. The second one was at an empty home about a half-mile away. It set a third home on fire with a woman inside, but she did escape. Then on Tuesday, firefighters were called to another fire in the same area. They think arson is possible in all of them.
It's leaning that way. There's no other reason that, there should be an ignition source or anything in a vacant home, with no electric, no power, no nothing.
Firefighters say people who live on Winston Road should check their surveillance video. Kentucky State Police say they arrested an assistant coach at Estill County High School. Investigators say 22-year-old Samuel Beeler had inappropriate relationships with 2 students. He's charged with 2 counts of rape and procuring or promoting the use of a minor by electronic means. He's being held in the Three Forks Regional Jail. The Estill County Board of Education released a statement on Wednesday saying the district made sure the employee would not have further contact with the students, and they can now proceed with termination of employment. 2 people are dead after a major explosion rocked part of Louisville on Tuesday. The explosion happened in the Clifton neighborhood. At least 11 other people were hurt by the explosion. 1 person died at the hospital. Another was found in the rubble late Tuesday night. As daylight revealed the damage, nearby homes were found with roofs torn off and glass shattered across cars and storefronts. Folks say there are too many incidences at this factory.
There have always been scents of ammonia, and there's always been noise, but we accepted that. We moved into an urban neighborhood and they were a pre-existing business. However, having it explode for the second time in 20 years, that's not something that we're really interested in accommodating anymore.
Local Councilman Andrew Owens says the neighborhood is angry and fearful, with some locals demanding the company relocate. Lexington police are continuing to investigate a shooting that damaged multiple vehicles and a building near UK's campus on November 3rd. Now they are asking for the public's help in identifying 3 people who were pictured at the scene. Detective Kristen Klingschrin and with the Bluegrass Crime Stoppers says while the photos from the area of 500 South Upper Street are not crystal clear, they are hoping that they encourage someone to speak up.
In the hecticness of the situation, that any witnesses were able to, I mean, would you stop and be like, oh, the guy shooting looks like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people want to get out of there or get to safety.
Not many facts have been discovered so far, which is why authorities are asking folks to speak up. If you have any information about the case, you're asked to contact Crime Stoppers at 859-253-2020. A Whitley County man was sentenced to more than 5 years in prison. William Nance pleaded guilty to threatening a federal law enforcement agent. This happened during a recorded video jail call. It's the second sentencing that Nance has received, the prior being 70 months when he made a threat against the lead case agent who was investigating a case against his son. A woman has been sentenced to 2 years in prison for conspiracy to distribute oxycodone and methadone. According to her plea agreement, Judith Harsky worked as a receptionist at a pain clinic in Chicago. The time frame of the conspiracy was between 2019 and 2020, and during that time, many people from Perry County traveled to the clinic regularly and paid a cash copay to Harsky. Then, Harsky filled out prescriptions that were previously signed by the absent owner. In Anderson County, a fire at a local business caused at least 8 vehicles to be damaged. The Lawrenceburg fire chief says crews were called to a business on Industry Road early Wednesday morning when someone spotted flames. The fire was put out just after 6:30 yesterday morning, and no injuries were reported. Holiday shopping season is upon us, and there are some potential crimes to be aware of as you buy presents. Public Affairs Officer Gilbert Achardo with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office says car thefts are more common while people are shopping inside. Achardo says people often lock their cars, which can be beneficial, but sometimes it's just not enough.
If you do put packages in your vehicle, put it in the trunk or cover it up with a blanket or a coat or something like that where someone walking by can't look in and see that you've got packages in there. And they'll even break out the window and try to get in if they see the packages. So you've got to conceal them.
Porch pirating can also be a concern. Achardo recommends being home when a package could arrive and having a surveillance camera with a sign showing that you are watching. And here are some more tips when you're shopping during this time of year. You can shop during daylight hours whenever it's possible, and if you have to go out at night, make sure to do so with a friend or a family member. Also, avoid carrying large amounts of cash on you. It's important to be careful when carrying a wallet or a purse. We are quickly approaching the winter months, which means it's a good idea to start making preparations. One of these is to make sure your home is properly insulated. Up until roughly 15 years ago, insulation codes for homes were not standardized. That means if you have an older home, it's more likely to be poorly insulated. While insulating your home could be pricey, Kenneth Wilson says it's worth the upfront cost.
It could be costing you upwards to $100 extra on your heating bill during the winter time. So, it's going to save you in the long run to insulate the right way.
Wilson says another spot to check are crawl spaces. He says you need to make sure that insulation is not hanging down and it's not in disrepair. ARH hosted its annual World Diabetes Day event in Floyd County yesterday. The event brought folks to the Mountain Arts Center for a day of information, resources, food, and fellowship, with resources available to anyone interested in learning more about diabetes and its impacts. From the mental health impacts to proper nutrition, the annual event works with area partners to spotlight the misconceptions, misinformation, and more to raise awareness and create community.
Because they may not know that diabetes education is available within ARH, or diabetes support groups where they can come together and learn from one another, people with lived experience learning from each other.
Organizers say the lunch and learn sessions brought in a great crowd, all focused on learning and sharing.
While at this point you should know about the rain, this is going to be impacting the wind you'll be experiencing, gusts even higher. But let's take a look at that current wind. As you're traveling to Prestonsburg, you're going to be seeing a 14-mile-an-hour wind. And as you go more towards Lexington and Louisville, you can continue to see the more high sustained winds behind that rain as it's moving through the area. And let's take a look at that satellite and radar. As it's traveling up, you can see majority of the area is covered this morning, and it's only going to continue moving through our area and eventually tapering off before re-strengthening around that 3 o'clock hour and leaving our Friday mostly dry with some sprinkles in the morning. We do have our forecast high temperatures in the upper 50s for today, and as we're looking at the bus stop forecast, you can see 49 degrees as you're heading off to school, 70% chance of rain, and it'll be continuing to rain as you're heading home. High temperatures of 58 degrees. Amelia?
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for joining us at 6:40. Still to come on Mountain News this morning, a wildfire ignites near a busy New York City street as the drought conditions fueling flames in the northeast continue.